That's exactly what I'm saying. As we load into game number 1 of our best of 3 semifinals, where we're here in the top right-hand corner of the map, sweating all the way in the top right. We, of course, have our red Terran player coming out from the land of Korea. Also, going across the map with an SCV, he is, of course, going to be representing his brand new, well, I say brand new, he joined like a year ago, his team, Cloud9. He's high. He is GuMiho.
And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner, getting proxy 2 ranks, as it's not just one SCV, it's a second SCV as well. We have the South Korean Terran player, the blue Terran, representing Shopify Rebellion. It is ByuN. Very quickly, if you're in the chat, predictions are open. Place your bets on who you think will claim the series. Best of luck in the chat as the aggression is on.
That is a double racks on the low ground, but not in GuMiho's base. ByuN doesn't trust him whatsoever. He is going for a little bit of scout around his bases, and he will be able to confirm those 2 Raxes.
Beautiful.
Right in front of me. How insulted do you think he feels right now?
So, GuMiho going for the 2-Rax Reaper. Meanwhile, ByuN does confirm he pulls a couple of boys to delay at least one of these Raxes. Reaper production is going to be on the way, but it is going to be delayed here due to these SCVs of ByuN.
Like so. Oof. One SCV already going down. And now things are getting very worrisome here for GuMiho.
Exactly, as we do delay the Rax even further here, and as a result, ByuN is going to be able to maintain production, even though he's down a Rax. I mean, it's only 1v1. That second Rax has not finished.
Yeah. He's kind of down a Rax. He's down half a Rax.
One more shot.
Which, in this case, you have to round down.
Oh my god, okay, it looks like the SCV will survive, will get away, but we force a cancel, and the plans of GuMiho are in shambles. He has to transition back at home, and ByuN has defended the early game aggression.
Like so. And if you're GuMiho right now, where do we go from here? I mean, thankfully we are on post-U, so he can still expand, he can still get that hybrid base in his main natural, something like that. But even still, ByuN is already going to beat him to the punch. He is much quicker in that regard. So
look, I hear it in your voice, Yaku. I hear what you're holding back. You're like, oh, GuMiho, what can he do? Clearly, he has to pull the boys. Like,
I mean, he has no other choice. What else is there that can be done?
Yeah, like, clearly he's got to either pull the boys or just Gangnam tear it up, really. I mean, like, what's going on? That's a blast from the past. When was the last? I feel like it's been years since we last had a viable map where you could like go for the Gangnam tear.
I want to say Eastwatch, which was 2018-ish.
Yeah.
No, I think that was one other map, not Redshift.
Did we see it in Golden Wall? Did we see it there? Maybe?
No, we saw it a couple of times at Golden Wall. Yeah. And of course, Golden Wall was in the map pool for like 2 years. But it kind of fell out of favor after that.
Yeah, like, it was never like a go-to, but I think I've seen it like maybe once or twice on Golden Wall.
I want to say TY did it. I could be wrong, but it just sounds like something TY would do.
Regardless. Yeah, ByuN defends back at home. He's getting into his 1-1-1. Natural base has been taken, and GuMiho is still working on that CC again. A lot of pressure is on GuMiho to try to bounce back, and he's following this up with what looks to be a Cyclone drop.
Yeah, that's definitely one way of getting back into this. I was going to say that's definitely one way of getting back into this when your opponent doesn't have much anti-air, but ByuN himself did get a safety Cyclone that he's now looking to drop across the map, and he also has a Viking in production to deal with the medevac.
Does have a Viking. Meanwhile, I do apologize, did forget to actually open up the beddings just because of the proxy 2 racks. I was very distracted by the intensity of the game, but predictions are now open. I mean, by the time you hear this, they're already closed, so best of luck to those that did get their predictions in, as we do see GuMiho keeping up with the drop play of ByuN and trying to hunt down that medevac. Does overshoot though.
Yeah, he just shot too far. He's out of the stadium.
Yeah, and that means we do drop into the main. Thankfully, we do have 2 more Cyclones in the main base. We are in position. We should be able to shut this down without losing too much. Oh!
Decent control coming up from GuMiho. Will be able to keep, at the very least, his core units alive, but he does still lose 4 SCVs, so he's even further behind than he was initially.
Yeah, that's 4 SCV kills. The Cyclone count looking quite healthy. Back at home, ByuN going for a 3rd CC, building up towards the mid game. My eyes are on GuMiho. I'm curious if he does ever start Stim or if he throws down a 2nd factory. Mech from behind would make sense if GuMiho was trying to recover. He was trying to catch back up. Oh!
But it's going to take a lot more than that, especially with that medevac going down.
The medevac is shut down. GuMiho getting his 3rd base on location. Bold move out of GuMiho. ByuN is investing into Stim. Additional Raxes. He is playing Fire Tank. I mean, no surprise here out of ByuN. Our eyes are still on GuMiho to see what he does follow up his production with.
The answer is going to be...
Up!
Not here yet. That takes Siege up. Vikings will land and make short work of the Cyclones. ByuN still heavily has the momentum.
Yeah, that was a massive siege. So many Cyclones. That was like what, 6 Cyclones going down. There's a tank on the high ground, but ByuN is rotating over, and his goal here is to deny that expansion. The base isn't done.
So it is much easier to deny it.
Yeah, we force a cancel. Yeah, massive delay here on that expansion, and we have the answer. Factory's on the way. It is going to be mech.
Alrighty then. It's going to be a little trickier when you are contained to 2 bases, but one of these bases is a hybrid, so yeah, maybe if there was ever anybody who would be able to get away with this, it would be GuMiho.
I believe.
And the granddaddy of mech, if you will.
Good, as we do see GuMiho delaying the base for a moment, but alas, we have plenty of reinforcements back at home. Cyclones are being forced back. GuMiho is now aware he's down an expansion, and GuMiho has to play this out slow. He's going to slowly expand and break out and turtle up, and it's not going to be an easy road to travel here for GuMiho.
That it will not. Vikings to be floating around, zooming to the other side of the map. Viking drops. That's actually landed Viking harass. That's something we haven't seen in a very long time.
I mean, it can work. We're not quite in position. They land, and SCV is going to get annihilated. Oh.
Yeah, unfortunately, no. Okay, here we go. SCV is coming in to fight this, which is not at all what you want to do against Vikings. Like you said, they do get annihilated.
Speaking of. Speaking of, we get the Viking drop also into the main base as well. We get 11 SCVs across the map, but 7 SCVs here in the main base of GuMiho as well. So in the end, not worth it here as we trade, or we have more of an even trade going on, and the Vikings have not been dealt with.
That they have not. That they have not. A couple of Vikings of GuMiho going to be coming across or finishing production. They land and they lift, and they lift and they land. GG is called ByuN. Going to be taking game number 1. That was one way to end it. I mean, I feel like we had a very intense, I wouldn't say back and forth necessarily, but definitely a very tense situation here after the early game, but then we just ended it real quick with those landed Vikings.
Oh yeah, GG, well played. A very chaotic TvT with the attempted and the failed proxy racks. ByuN had a very, very solid start and never allowed GuMiho to actually get back into his game, get back into the swing of things. So very nicely done here. ByuN in full control takes game 1. But a big reason for that was just because of the opener, was just because GuMiho was behind from the start of the game. We'll see if we can settle into a much more even back and forth.
Yeah, here on game number 2, which is going to be on Alcyone, so it's... I can't imagine that GuMiho is going to do the same thing twice in a row, regardless of what the map will be, but especially not on Alcyone. Oh, looks like we're having a little bit of issue coming down with our players.
We have some banter going on. GuMiho's like, how did you scout me? And ByuN's like, I can smell your cheese.
Like, yeah. At your scent. ByuN like, you merely adopted the 2 racks. I was born in it. I birthed it, even.
Can confirm. There we go. It looks like we are going to be settling just a little bit of banter between ByuN and GuMiho. Unfortunately, we don't quite have a translator, so not too certain what they were saying with each other.
Yeah, but we took a screenshot, so we translate it at some point in the future. Man, the minute I finished that sentence of like ByuN birthed the Turax, it threw me back all the way back to 2016, 2017. Now ByuN, he birthed it, but Fuely, he perfected it.
that's a reference. I guarantee, Yaku, not a single person in the chat knows who the hell Fuely is.
Rip Fuely, Rip ANZ, whatever that tournament was, ANZ Weekly.
Yeah, ANZ Weekly. Yeah, those are the days. Much love to Fuely.
I stole that build from him directly. Anyway, we're going to be continuing our series now, our best of 3 semifinals on Alcyone, over here in the bottom left-hand corner map. Spawning here, over in the bottom left, we of course have our blue Terran player coming out from the land of Korea. He of course is going to be representing Cloud9. He is high. We have GuMiho.
And spawning in the top right-hand corner, we have the South Korean Terran player, the Red Terran, representing Shopify Rebellion, leading the series 1-0. It is ByuN. Checking for the proxy. This time, there is none. I like to believe they're talking about that.
Yeah, I like to believe that GuMiho was basically saying like, yeah, I couldn't be proxying you.
Regardless, we do see ByuN opening up double gas.
If we have any, I was gonna say, if we have any Korean speakers in the chat, enlighten us.
Yes, translations would be greatly appreciated in the chat. If anyone is native to the Hangul, to the Korean language, let us know.
Yeah, or even if you're not,
just tell us and we'll have to believe you because we won't know.
Confirm that I'm correct. Yeah, confirm that we are correct in our interpretation.
Yeah, context clues.
Yeah. If we're wrong, then don't say anything. Or even if we're wrong, just say that we're right.
There you go.
We may not speak Korean, but we speak body.
There you go.
Language, and we can tell.
안녕하세요.
Yeah. Asamamu. No, that's a different language entirely.
that's not Korean. Yeah, it's not Korean.
It sounds similar.
Yeah, sure, a little bit.
Yeah. Did I ever tell that story? I got mixed up when I went to visit my relatives. So Did
you say like hello in Indonesian or something?
No. The traditional greeting is Assalamualaikum. Is the traditional Muslim greeting. Somehow I got mixed up and I said Annyeonghaseyo instead when I visited my relatives, my Muslim relatives. Thankfully, my aunt is a huge Korea boo, and she knew immediately what I was saying. She's like, "Yes, I feel ya."
She thinks you're being cute or you're making a reference that you'd know that she'd understand. Hello, but really, you just said the wrong thing. Lovely, beautiful. As we are going to be settling into our TvT again, we did have double gas versus double gas. We do have Reaper Hellion out of ByuN moving out across the map. Meanwhile, back at home, GuMiho taking a more defensive stance with his Cyclones, but he's going to try to keep up and catch up with ByuN. We do get a Reaper across the map. Likewise, ByuN busting into the main.
Yeah, busting in, but we already had the surround of Marines. None of these Reapers are going to get any damage or scouting done, and these Hellions, without Reaper support, not quite going to be able to get much done.
Yeah, Hellions, they race back home to defend against that Reaper. We get 2 SCV kills so far, a better start for GuMiho. The Reaper is going to be cleaned up, and back at home, GuMiho is going for a very fast third CC.
Yeah, which he can afford. He doesn't quite have map control, but there's really no easy way for GuMiho to really, or for ByuN, sorry, to... The colors are messing me up. GuMiho used to be red in the previous game. But anyway, yeah, there's no easy way for ByuN to really bust into GuMiho and really deny the start base that he's getting.
Yeah, exactly. Especially because how large the map is, so it does make a lot of sense to rush into a faster third on Alcyone. On another smaller map, it could be a little bit risky, and I mean there is still a little bit of risk involved. But for the time being, ByuN has yet to move out, so just focusing on his earlier tank production. Medevac's on the way, and we will soon be going for an earlier push.
Yeah, which I can't say we're too surprised. Can't say I'm too surprised seeing out of ByuN. 2 tanks, 8 marines, 2 medevacs. These are vanilla? Yeah, vanilla marines. So not quite going to be able to jump on top of things. Not quite going to be able to dip in and dip out like you normally would.
Yeah, instead
but
it's gonna
still going to have a...
Yeah, it's gonna be
going to have a lot of pressure.
Yeah, it's going to be a very committed tank drop here from ByuN. He's going to try and sneak into the main base, and GuMiho does have a bit of a blind spot. I mean, he has vision with the depot, but his army and his Vikings are not quite in position, so we can boost in. And if ByuN can siege up in the mineral line, that would be huge. Oh.
We can boost in, and instead we boost it away. But now here we go. The tank could be sieging up. Vikings forced to land. I'm liking that ByuN only sieged up 1 tank, as it allowed him to juggle a little bit. That's a lot of SCVs going down. 15 SCVs going down, and absolutely, I would say worth it here for ByuN.
Oh yeah, that was 1 tank, marines, and 1 medevac for an entire mineral line worth of SCVs, and just like that, ByuN does take a worker lead. His third base is now going to be thrown down on location. Sure, GuMiho has a faster third and has an orbital, but ByuN did scout that, and it's going to be now on ByuN to make sure that that third base is not landed.
Yeah, once again, going to be setting up around here. Going to be consolidating his forces, getting his tank back in position.
Likewise, GuMiho moving out has that additional tank available to him, so he does have the tank lead, but his army is spotted. ByuN, meanwhile, sieged up here in the center map, hoping to try to catch out the army.
And he kind of will. Gets a volley off on one of the tanks of GuMiho.
Yeah, the tank getting very low. Behind this, GuMiho is landing his third base. Likewise, ByuN's own third is going to be getting up and running. And right now, it's on GuMiho to try to keep ByuN busy and allow himself to actually get this third base fully operational.
Like so. Yeah, GuMiho is still catching up a little bit when it comes to the worker count, but he's not too far behind. Especially with that lead, especially with the fact that he actually is able to produce out of his third.
Yeah, ByuN forced 1 siege, has to back off. A bit of an awkward position here for ByuN. So he's going to tank volley up, but with the help of these liberators, yeah, GuMiho is going to be able to bully this back.
Like so. Tank, it's running for its life.
Yeah, his racing back. 1 tank is going to be going down. We still have those 2 liberators. We have air control as well, and GuMiho, with his air control, he can flex these libs. We'll go for the siege.
I feel like it actually wasn't too bad there for ByuN with that tank on the watchtower. Managed to get a volley off, kill a couple of units, but now GuMiho's dealt with it. He is going to be beating this back. He is breathing down ByuN's neck.
Yeah, the flanking tanks did get some big volleys off, but the tanks are going down. There's 1 tank left here for ByuN. We do snap one of the liberators. ByuN is getting a couple of key pickoffs here and there, but GuMiho's main army is still gaining ground.
Yeah, taking off one of those liberators is good. But he's down to only 1 tank, 2 tanks now. But here we go. The tanks just barely not sieged in time. Did allow ByuN to get right on top of it and did allow him to come in with his marines and take him out. Now the tank count of GuMiho has been reset.
Yeah.
And things are evening out.
Very impressive breakout there by ByuN. It did cost him some SCVs, but honestly not too many. Only 4 SCVs went down. We cleaned up every single tank. We cleaned up the liberators as well. And ByuN, he survives. He gets away with his third base, and we are now moving out across the map. We have more of a back and forth here, but GuMiho did bleed out a lot of his tanks, as you did mention.
Yeah. And now ByuN, he knows that the Viking count of GuMiho isn't as high as it once was, and all of the Vikings from earlier are also across the map, so a little bit of a blind spot here in the natural base. 5 SCVs go down. This tank is in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, the tank is under fire. We're going to be able to get the repairs of the tank. We'll survive. We get 8 SCV kills here at the natural. At the same time, ByuN rallying across the map. Doesn't quite commit. There is a tank on the high ground, so that will defend the main. At the same time, ByuN, he does slip in.
Yeah, because I'm going to be not able to take out any of these SCVs. I was confused too, yeah. These colors! Ah!
Hey, GuMiho jumping across the map will get some economic damage himself. He's not taking this lying down. The work counts are looking very similar, very close to each other.
Very similar to each other. Both players also on even base count. Fourth base of GuMiho going to be a little bit faster, but not by that much. We're even.
Yeah. Our players, they bounce off each other. We're settling into our 4-base economies. There are some slight deviations here and there. ByuN does have a slight upgrade lead, but the window here is not actually the largest, so GuMiho can eventually catch up. Likewise, just being active as active as we can. Both players going for drop play, both players trying to pick up whatever SCVs they can.
Yeah, going to be denying this gas geyser at the very least, so ByuN going to be a little bit behind when it comes to producing tanks and Vikings and Liberators and whatnot. Anything other than Marines, really.
That will impact his overall gas income, but we're settling down. We're building up more Marines, getting into our eventual 4th base. Likewise, GuMiho still being a nuisance, but this time ByuN is ready for it.
Yeah. Yes, tank in position, sieged up over there. Got a tank over here.
Yeah, we're going to be having a bit of a lull here after a very intense game. I mean, there's been a lot of chaos, a lot of aggression from both players, but now we can calm things down, we can settle in, we can expand, and we can embrace a longer game.
Yeah, which is not I'm going to be honest, Light, I know that TvT is kind of known for it, but I wasn't expecting ByuN and GuMiho to want to embrace the late game or the turtle TvT.
I mean, they didn't want to, but we're kind of getting there.
True, yeah. That is an important caveat that you mention it.
They were very much so in each other's faces, and speaking
important
of
distinction, yeah.
ByuN is almost maxed out. That's a lot of Marines again to be expected. Looking at the unit stat, ByuN has 71 Marines compared to the 53 of GuMiho. So with this mass bio army, we'll see if he can break through. GuMiho has a tank lead instead. Tanks are sieged up, and ByuN, he's committing in.
He is going to be fighting here in the low ground, where I was going to say there's not much tanks in range for GuMiho, but actually still are. ByuN going to be busting through, going to be taking out the tanks in the lower side, kind of the right side of the front lines. GuMiho not quite able to reinforce this position. The 3rd base goes down, but ByuN shouldn't be able to push in further from here, even still. Huge pick off of ByuN.
Massive pick off ByuN. He saw the opening. He just stemmed right up the ramp, went right for the base. The base goes down, and despite having a tank line, GuMiho was not quite in position to protect his expansion. With that, he is now down a CC, down in economy, and the goal here for ByuN is to reinforce and to keep on pushing through. Alas, the siege line from GuMiho is now a little bit in a better position, so it's going to be difficult to break through this. We can always rotate around and try to knock down the planetary.
Yeah, we can try, but of course there's a sensor tower in range over there, so ByuN instead going to try to go for double drop. These are some very weak medevacts, very low health, and we have Marines, we have missile turrets. Immediately, ByuN forces turn around.
Yeah, ByuN, he backs up, but reinforcements are on the way. ByuN does at least preserve his army, does keep it up and running, and he is gaining ground. He's trying to get on top of these tanks.
Trying to, but not really finding an opening. Liberators here with the air superiority of GuMiho, going to be able to chase us back. I say the air superiority of GuMiho, it's literally 1 Viking. But you know, that's more than 0, which is the amount that ByuN has.
It's barely enough to hold on. But again, all that GuMiho has to do, all that ByuN has to do is contain GuMiho. Contain him on 3 bases, that's all that needs to be done, as ByuN is on 4, soon to be on 5 CCs back at home, as the 5th base is now done, soon to be landed on location. And yeah, ByuN is just trying to starve GuMiho out. Meanwhile, GuMiho does catch a tank.
Is able to take that out. ByuN trying to slip on in, trying to get this tank that's exposed. He will get it, and still have a couple of Marines left over to try to fight the Marine count of GuMiho. But he can't do that while there are still tanks in play. While there are still tanks from GuMiho in play.
Yeah, a solid pick off. Meanwhile, that's a lot of tank volleys to the face of ByuN. ByuN bleeding out a lot of Marines. ByuN attempting to take a 5th base, but alas, GuMiho is in position. He will delay, he will deny that expansion, and we're going into Sky Terran. We have a wall of starports on the way, and we're getting ready for those Vikings and for those Liberators.
110 of ByuN's Marines have been taken out. This is this is not a good game to be a Marine, at least if you're on ByuN's army.
That's the thing about ByuN and TvT is he goes Mass Marine and he is more than happy to throw them away. Meanwhile, ByuN is out of position and GuMiho is going for a massive move out.
A little bit of blind spot here. Will be able to deny the 5th base of ByuN. That's a kill.
Yeah, this is going to be cool. At the same time, ByuN committing in, trying to get on top of the tanks. There's no lot of support here for the tanks. The tanks are going down to Marines.
Yeah, some of them are, but unfortunately for ByuN here, not a lot of room to really split and spread your Marines to avoid those tank splash damage.
Yeah, we had a secondary line of tanks behind it for GuMiho, so he barely does hold on.
We're now up to 155 of ByuN's Marines dying.
We're not done, Pappy. We're not done. We're
gonna get to 200. He's producing 15 of them at a time.
Yeah,
What's 150, you know? Drop in the bucket here.
Oh no, if you're a Marine in the chat, look away, Pappy, look away. As again, ByuN is trying to brute force his way through. GuMiho, meanwhile, getting into Mass Liberator Raven. That can help out with the of course, anti-arm missile alongside auto turrets, but we're catching more tanks.
Yeah, Marine Bomb gonna be able to take out a couple of these tanks here and there. These are the absolute core unit of GuMiho right now. If he doesn't have them, I mean, I guess the Liberators are gonna help, but they're not going to be as useful as all of these tanks.
Yeah, we get 3 tanks, we get a Liberator as well, and now ByuN is rotating over towards that planetary. There's not much to defend, there's 1 tank. Liberators are coming in to reinforce, and they will force stims out of these Marines.
Yeah, we'll force a couple of unsiege or resieges even, here and there. 176 Marines from ByuN have gone down, by the way.
Yeah, Libs is sieging up, the army's forced back, and GuMiho, he stims in!
Yeah, we'll be trying to catch this while the tanks are on siege, but ByuN, of course, still has a very sizable Marine army, despite losing 177 throughout the course of this game. He still perpetually has more Marines than GuMiho.
Yeah, that was a nice pick-off by GuMiho. He did get 3 tanks there that were left sieged up, so not a bad pick-off from Gumi. At the same time, finally, he gets a 4th base up and running. He was denied this base for so long, but it is now operational here. As ByuN is going for a split push, takes down the gas guys, are reinforcing on the right-hand side. He's looking for another opening.
And credit to GuMiho, he is closing as many of those openings as possible. He's not at all making it easy for ByuN to find them.
Yeah, these Liberators are a real problem. I mean, they take down another tank, and now we have starports finishing up for ByuN, so he's getting into Viking production. He's working in that direction. Mass Marine can only take you so far.
Oh, well, you say that.
There.
We'll see if that ends up getting proven. Marines will be able to take out the 2 Liberators. Grants ByuN a lot more freedom on this side of the map.
And Libs have gone down. Viking production has begun. Again, we're on triple starport production. Fusion cores on the way. That should be for... actually, it looks like BCs. We have tech labs.
Yeah, boy.
Okay.
Range? No. This is not the time.
Exactly. Meanwhile, we have a Doom Drop here on the left-hand side. We're going to be able to clean up some of these tanks, but again, ByuN doesn't care as he frees up supply. Show us those battle cruisers.
Yeah, we're way past the point where for Lib range. BCs will not be produced because ByuN is actually maxed out.
He's maxed out.
Or close to maxed out, so.
We're getting there.
He's going to get a couple of Ravens instead.
Yeah. Okay. We're not pulling a Maru. We're not rushing into BC production. It's going to be the medevac upgrade and Ravens instead. I had hope. I had faith. Meanwhile, drop play coming back in. Going to be distracting GuMiho, keeping him busy.
Yeah, going to be ideally pulling attention away from his kind of fringe bases, which is exactly what ByuN is going for. This 1 medevac is giving me anxiety. This 1 medevac in...
It's going to take 1 turret shot. It's going to take 1 turret shot, but alas, no turrets. Okay.
Oh! Now we got a possibility. GuMiho, I didn't even realize that the reason why he had so few Liberators behind all of this was because he was focused himself on Raven production.
Yeah, TvT is all about Air Terran or Sky Terran versus Sky Terran towards that late game. Meanwhile, the planetary is not done. We stim in and we will catch the base.
Yeah, forces are canceled, and I mean, that base is going to go down. GuMiho himself could be able to take out the gold base of ByuN, so they're trading about 1-1 right now. But here comes the main fight, potentially, probably, honestly, the final fight of the game.
Yeah, he wants the planetary. Do get some anti-armor missiles. They do go off the planetary. It holds on for a moment, but it is going to be shut down by the tanks at the same time. ByuN keeps going.
Yeah, he knows that that was a massive bulk, the main bulk of GuMiho's forces right down his front door. So his triple drop, getting a lot of value. Taking out 30 SCVs, going to be forcing a couple more cancels, ideally.
Yeah, but he's going to be cleaned up by the reinforcements. Looks like GuMiho, he will survive, he will defend. At the same time, his main army is still not gaining much more ground. We're still focusing on mass Raven production, likewise Vikings as well. And we're still keeping up with each other. ByuN still has that base advantage, he has top left.
Like so, yeah. I mean, GuMiho does have the gold, so that makes up for things a little bit, but I'm not sure if that can really make up for being down 30 workers.
Yeah, I just realized GuMiho is down to 31 SCVs. Like, his economy he's working on is very, very low, actually. So that can hurt him, but as a result, that does mean that GuMiho has a very large army. He has a much larger army supply, a supermax army essentially from GuMiho. So he can win a fight and ideally snowball from there.
Yeah, that's going to be the ideal scenario, but he is trickling in a couple of units here and there. ByuN taking full advantage of that, and we'll be able to weaken GuMiho before the fight begins. That orbital command will go down.
Is going to be going down. At the same time, we deny mining at the goal base. Nice tank position here for ByuN. He's going to shell away at the Marines, and we do see the mass disables.
Yeah, it will allow ByuN to clean up every single tank, and all of a sudden that army supply advantage that GuMiho had is now completely gone. In fact, ByuN is the player with the larger army and still with the better economy.
We spoke about it, but GuMiho, he had one army to work with and he lost it, and GuMiho does not have the economy to sustain that, to replace his army. GuMiho is falling further and further behind, and ByuN is snowballing out of control. He's still maxed out, and GuMiho is going to take him a long time to remax.
243 Marines have gone down for ByuN.
There we go.
168 for GuMiho.
We broke 200.
We broke 200. This is, yeah, Mass Marine for the win.
I mean, at this point, we're now more into Vikings and Raven. We have a solid air army now for ByuN. He's gaining ground tanks, are slowly pushing forward. And GuMiho is up against the wall. He does have a decent Marine count himself, but he's pushing into tanks. Oh, the surround!
In the tank, and we have just enough Marines by the looks of things. No, not with the surround. I was going to say, ByuN may have just enough Marines to buffer for these tanks, but with the auto charges coming out from GuMiho, he's going to break through. He's going to keep pushing. ByuN has a high army supply, but a lot of the supply is in Vikings.
Yeah, but Vikings, they can be landed, and it looks like we're going for the land of the tanks. We're going to clean up the ground army here of GuMiho. We have some auto charges being thrown down, but ByuN, he does take the fight. GG gets called, and ByuN will take the 2-0.
I tapped out too soon, but if I had to estimate, 300 Marines went down for GuMiho, for ByuN. 220 for GuMiho, something like that. That is not a great. That was not a great map to be a Marine on. Let me tell you.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. GG, well played. ByuN does take the series. It was an intense back and forth, but alas, ByuN was able to maintain his economic advantage, his economic lead. ByuN was always up at least one base. At times, he was up 2 bases. Because of that, GuMiho could not sustain himself. He could not survive and make it into a longer game, as he was losing units, losing Marines and Marauders and tanks. Couldn't replace them. Could not replace them.
That he could not. GG, man, that was very back and forth going here. That was very back and forth. I mean, you mentioned at a certain point, neither of our players are really fond of going for a slower kind of siege mech style or turtle style in TvT, and there was a moment where it thought like it didn't matter what the players wanted. That was just the direction the game was going to go regardless. And I think GuMiho was a little bit willing to try to slow things down, but ByuN said, no, I have other plans. I am making 15 Marines at a time. I'm going to use them. I don't care if they die, because I can replace them instantly, almost instantly.
Exactly. Did maintain ourselves. GG, well played. ByuN will advance on to the grand finals, and he has a Terran player waiting for him. It's going to be ByuN versus Clem in a best of 5 grand finals.